Next lesson is on writing inequalities. So we're going to take those inequalities from our last one and start to put them into sentence form or take them from sentences back to inequalities. So our essential question is, how can you use an inequality to represent a real life situation? Oh, there we go.
We only have one question on the left-hand side for you today. How can you check your inequality to make sure it matches the situation? Because a lot of what we're doing today is very similar to equations, but the check is definitely something you're going to have to pause and see if your answer makes sense on.
So we're going to look at our vocabulary just like we did with our equations. It says 8 is greater than P. So we see the word greater than, and we know we want to use the greater than symbol. And then we just leave it in the order it is. 8 is greater than P. So 8 is greater than P.
Sorry, M is less than or equal to 19. So let's just write it the way that it is in the math expression. M less than, line underneath for the equal to part, and 19.
Next one is the product, meaning multiplication, of B and 7. So 7 times B, remember always write them together without the X or the dot, is less than 25. So we put in our less than symbol and we put in our 25. Since these are inequalities, that word is not telling us where to put an equal sign. It's just kind of signaling where our inequality symbol is going to come in our sentence here.
A number, there's your variable, greater than or equal to 11. So we're going to have M greater than, line underneath for the equal to part, and 11.
Simple as that.
To turn a word problem into an inequality, we need to look for keywords that tell you what inequality symbol you should use.
So these are not going to be quite as straightforward as greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. You're going to have to interpret a little bit. So when you see the word fewer than, that's going to be the same thing as a less than. You can take the next one.
Sure. When you see more than, you're going to go ahead and use the greater than sign.
At most means it can be this number, but that's the highest it can be. So it can be less than our number or equal to our number. So at most means less than or equal to.
At least means there's a minimum. You have to go to at least a certain point, but you can go past the point if you want to.
Okay. So let's try these two together and see how we do. It says Jessica spent more than what?
I just hope they're writing down these phrases, because just writing an expression without the real world situation is not going to help you in your notes. You got to write the whole thing down. Sorry.
All right, Jessica spent more than $5 at the arcade. We don't know how much Jessica spent, so that's where we put in our variables. Maybe we say J. More than. Well, more than is another way of saying greater than $5. But in these real world ones, it doesn't hurt to go back and double check. So think of a number if she spent more than $5 at the arcade. So maybe she spent $8. Plug that into your inequality and see if it makes sense. Is 8 greater than 5? It is, so we know we interpreted it correctly.
There was at least 200 people at her graduation. So we know that we need a variable. We know we need 200. Now we need to figure out which sign is going to help us do at least. So at least 200 people means that there could be 200, 300, 400. So we're looking at that greater than or equal to inequality symbol. And then we're going to go ahead and plug in, okay, at least 200 people. So if there was 300 people there, that would meet the requirements. And 300 is greater than or equal to 200. So I've checked my work.
All right, so go ahead and jot down these next couple and then give them a try for yourself. Look for those keywords, try to write your inequality, and then hit play and watch us as we work through them and see if you are on the right track. These can be a little tricky, so you really have to kind of test out your answer and make sure it makes sense in the problem.
Okay. You must be over 12 years old to ride the go-karts. So, G, 12. Must be over 12 years, so you got to be greater than 12.
Okay, but it says must be over, so you can't be equal to 12, so that's why we chose just greater than 12. Next one, a pony is less than 14.2 hands tall. They used to measure things in hands. Let's take P for pony and 14.2. We want less than. Well, this one's kind of straightforward.
That's pretty easy.
Nice and easy is less than.
You must be at least 16 years old to have a driver's license. So we know that D and 16 are definitely in there. At least means that you're older than 16 before they will give you a driver's license. So that's greater than or equal to 16. This is a very common one for you all to know because you know what it takes to get a driver's license.
Some of you are going to be, for some of you, you like to put the number part first and then your variable. That's totally fine. But if you're somebody who likes to write it in that phrase, your inequality symbol is always going to be backwards. So in this case, if D is greater than or equal to 16, 16 is less than or equal to D.
But those options are always there for each problem that we're talking about.
Yep, so you're fine either way, but just know that that inequality symbol gets flipped around if you choose to put your variable on the right-hand side instead of the left.
It's got to be in the big part of the alligator. Yeah.
To use one stamp, your letter must weigh under 3.5 ounces. So we have the weight and we have 3.5. We want to be under 3.5, so it can't be 3.5. It has to be less than 3.5.
You must be no more than 100 pounds to jump on the trampoline.
Sorry, that should say no more than.
So let's do T.
Okay.
100 pounds. No more than means that you can be less than 100, but you can't.
And you can be equal to 100. Well, you didn't say that, so I didn't.
I know, but then that's going to get me scared on the trampoline. But yeah, T is less than or equal to 100 pounds. Can't go over that 100 pounds, so it's got to be less than.
And then remember, it's always good to double check and make sure you are on the right track. So read that to yourself. You must be no more than 100 pounds to jump on the trampoline. So maybe you could be 90 pounds. Plug that in, even if it's just in your head, and think about, is 90 less than or equal to 100? Yeah, that makes sense. So I know I'm on the right track. But that quick little check can make sure we have the right inequality symbol in there for you.
Sorry, I watched too much AFB.